I spent the last 30 days studying warehouses, not casually scrolling through listings. I'm talking data, deals, tenant demand, rent trends, everything. And what I found completely changed how I look at real estate. Because while everyone is still chasing apartments, warehouses might quietly be the most powerful asset class in the country right now, but also one of the easiest to misunderstand. So in this video, I'm going to break down what I actually found after 30 days of studying warehouses. What's working, what's risky, where the opportunities are actually lying, and who should actually be paying attention to this. If you're new here, my name is Greg. I talk about commercial real estate, investing strategies, and how to actually build wealth through real assets, not just theory. And if you want help figuring out what to do and what to look for, there's a link how to do this below, where you can book a call with me or get a custom roadmap. Let's get right into it. First things I realized is warehouses are not boring. That's the biggest misconception. People hear industrial and they picture some old metal building in the middle of nowhere. No story, no upside, nothing exciting. But that couldn't be further from the truth, because warehouses are directly tied to how money moves in today's world. Every time someone clicks the buy now, there's a warehouse that's involved. Actually, like multiple. And that leads to the first big insight. Demand is not just strong, it's structural. This isn't like retail where demand can disappear, or office where usage can change overnight. Warehouses are tied to logistics, and logistics is only going to grow. E-commerce, same-day delivery, supply chain optimization, all of it depends on distribution space. And what I found is that tenants are just looking for space. They're competing for the right locations. Which brings me to the next insight. Location matters more than what you think, but not in the way you think. In residential, location usually means lifestyle. Good schools, nice downtown, things like that. In warehouses, location, proximity, and efficiency are key, and how close you are to the major highways, ports, airports, dense population centers, because the closer you are to the end consumer, the faster and cheaper you can deliver. That's why you see so much demand in places like New Jersey, Southern California, Dallas, Atlanta. These are logistic hubs. In many of these areas, there's actually a shortage of well-located warehouse space, which leads to higher rents and more competition among tenants. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The third thing I found is that not all warehouses are created equal. This is where most people mess up. They think a warehouse is just a box, and that's it. But there are levels to this. You've got older buildings with low ceilings, limited loading docks, and then they've got modern facilities with a 32-foot clear, multiple dock doors, advanced layouts. Tenants will pay significantly more for the newer products. Why, you ask? Because it allows them to operate more efficiently. More vertical storage, faster loading and unloading, better workflow. So two buildings that look similar on paper can perform completely differently in reality. And this is where a lot of opportunity comes into play, because sometimes you can take an older building, make strategic upgrades, drastically increase its value. This is important. Not every building can be upgraded, which leads to the fourth insight. Functionality is everything. I saw deals where the numbers look great until you look and understand actually what's going on in the building. Poor truck access, bad layout, limited parking, and suddenly that great deal becomes very hard to actually lease. Warehouses are extremely practical assets. If they don't work operationally, tenants won't even touch it or look at it. So you have to evaluate them differently than residential. It's not about finishes or aesthetics, it's about flow and how goods move through the space, how trucks enter and exit, how efficiently a business can operate inside that building. Now let's talk about money. Everybody loves talking about money, right? Because this is where a lot of people get interested. The fifth thing I found is that the warehouses can produce very strong, stable income, but they're not set it and forget it like people think. Yes, many warehouse leases are long-term. Yes, tenants often invest in this space, but vacancy risk is real. But if a tenant leaves, you're not just finding another family like a residential. You need to find a business that fits that specific building, that specific location, that specific layout, and that they can take time to do all of this. So while the income can be strong, you need to underwrite vacancy properly. Now, here's where things really stood out to me. It's the sixth thing. There is a huge gap between what people think warehouses are worth and what they are actually trading for, because more and more institutional money is flowing into industrial, funds, REITs, large operators. They're aggressively buying these assets. Why? Because they see the long-term demand and that pushes prices up, which means if you're a smaller investor, you have to become more strategic. You're probably not competing for the same deals as the big players. Instead, the opportunities are often in smaller properties, secondary markets, value-add situations, or off-market deals, what I do a lot. This is where relationships and local knowledge become extremely important. Now, the last thing I found, and might be the most important, warehouse rewards people who understand business, not just real estate. Because at the end of the day, you're not just leasing space, you're supporting an operation. And logistic companies, distributors, e-commerce brands, so many. So understand how those businesses operate. The better decisions you can make as an investor, you can start seeing these things differently. You're not just asking, what's the rent? You're asking, does this space actually make sense for this tenant? And that's completely different level of thinking. So after 30 days of studying warehouses, here's the reality. This is not a hype-driven asset class at all. It's not flashy, it's not trendy, but it's deeply connected to how the modern economy works. And because of that, it has a real staying power. Now, does that mean someone or anyone should go out and start buying warehouses? No, not at all. But if you're serious about building wealth through real estate, this is an asset class you should at least understand. Because while everyone else is looking at the obvious, the big opportunities are often in what other people overlook. If you made it this far, just comment warehouse below and I'll send you a breakdown of how I'd approach getting started in this space today. And if you want to go deeper, there's a link in the description where you can book a call with me or get started with a custom roadmap based on your goals.